Hi, welcome. In this tutorial we will talk about camera constraints. We will limit camera movement, camera orbital rotation, we will disable panning for the viewer, and we will enable the auto rotate function. Let's get started. Continuing from our previous splat scene we created in our last tutorial, it might be nice to set up some camera constraints to prevent the user from navigating our 3D volume outside our intended boundaries. As you can see, there's already some constraints in place. We cannot move below this point, we cannot orbit over this point, and we cannot zoom out beyond this point. So let's see how that is set up. To do so, click the scene title in the upper right corner to open up the scene properties, and then open up the camera tab. And below the constraints table, you will see the camera constraints that are currently set. When you have the constraints table open, you are able to freely orbit and navigate around the volume so that you can set constraints outside the default settings. Okay, so first thing I'd like to do is set a better ground level. So I'd like to be able to set that at eye height or eye level. I open the constraints table, move the camera a bit down, and capture the position. When I save this, the new constraint is in place. Same thing I'd like to do for the orbital rotation. Open up the camera, constraints table, rotate to my desired position, capture that position, and save it. As you can see, it's minus 90 degrees. So positive 90 degrees would be looking straight up. Save that, and now these constraints are in place. You might have seen that the look up angle was 0, so that means it's locked to the horizon. If we want to have more freedom looking up, we could edit that constraint, look up a bit, capture the rotate up, save that, and now we can look up and down more freely. I cannot look up when I'm at ground level because I'd be moving through the ground, and I've set up this minimum Y distance so that the camera cannot move below the ground. So if you want to look up more, you need to go up a bit. Next thing we could do is set a maximum minimum distance or zoom level. So if I want people to not be able to zoom in beyond this point, I'd go and zoom to my desired point, click the capture, and same goes for the zooming out limitation, the capture, save that. So now I cannot zoom up beyond that point, zoom in beyond that point is also disabled. Another thing we could do is, for instance, if your capture has lower fidelity on the backside and you want to prevent users from viewing your capture from those angles, you could limit the horizontal orbital rotation or azimuth. To do so, again, camera constraints, set the maximum rotate left angle, set the maximum rotate right angle, save those values, and now we are locked within that area. What you can still do as a viewer is pan outside this area. So if you want to prevent users from also doing that, of course, camera constraints and click disable pan. Now your users or your viewers are locked to this specific area in your volume. Finally, we could enable the auto rotate function. In this particular example, it might not be really helpful since we've set orbital constraints. So it will just auto rotate until it hits one of those constraints and then just stop. But it's something we just like to display or show in this tutorial. Well, that about concludes this tutorial. I hope you found it useful, and I definitely hope to see you next time. Have a great day.